They say history is written by the victors, but sometimes history is defined by the daring few who defy expectation. In 1943, a 19-year-old American pilot climbed into the cockpit of a P-51 Mustang. His heart pounding, his mind racing, and every nerve alert. This was his first combat mission over Nazi-occupied Europe, and it would be unlike anything he had ever imagined. This young pilot, Charles "Chuck" Yeager, would perform an action so bold, so unexpected, that it would forever change the way air combat was fought. The skies over Europe were a battlefield of chaos and precision. The United States Army Air Forces faced formidable challenges: inexperienced pilots, evolving aircraft technology, and a Luftwaffe that had dominated the air for years. In 1943, kill ratios for American fighter pilots were grim. Formations were rigid, doctrines outdated, and the difference between life and death was measured in fractions of a second. For a young pilot like Yeager, this was a world where hesitation could be fatal and every decision carried the weight of survival itself. As Yeager took off that morning, the sun glinted off his Mustang's wings. The roar of the engine became a drumbeat of destiny. Ahead, German fighters streaked across the sky, their sleek Messerschmitt Bf-19s slicing the clouds with deadly precision. One seasoned Luftwaffe ace targeted his squadron. The tension was palpable, the stakes immediate. This was not a drill. This was life and death in motion, a deadly ballet of speed, skill, and instinct. Yeager followed training, held formation, and attempted to anticipate the enemy. But training could only go so far. In moments, chaos erupted. The German ace dove with lightning speed. Bullets tore through the air. Smoke, noise, and terror intertwined. Yeager realized the maneuvering he had learned was insufficient. The textbook could not save him. Panic would have been natural, but instead, something extraordinary happened. He executed a maneuver that no pilot at the time thought possible. His Mustang twisted, rolled, and dove with a grace born of desperation. Transforming from prey into predator, time slowed as the German fighter misjudged his actions. What seemed impossible became reality. Yeager's maneuver allowed him to escape a situation that would have ended in death for most pilots. This split-second decision, forged in fear and instinct, would later become a foundational tactic in modern aerial combat. Returning to base, the young pilot was exhilarated and shaken, aware that what he had done was extraordinary, though even he did not yet grasp the full significance. In the following weeks, Yeager refined his technique, tested his limits, and began instructing others. His actions forced American commanders to reevaluate existing doctrines. The rigid formations that had been considered essential were now understood as potential traps. Flexibility, situational awareness, and daring initiative became the new keys to survival. Yeager's first mission, born of necessity and courage, was rewriting the rules of air warfare in real time. Imagine being 19, flying a machine capable of over 400 miles per hour, under conditions where one mistake could be fatal. The adrenaline, the fear, and the clarity of thought required to survive were unlike anything most people will ever experience. Yet in that crucible, human ingenuity flourished. Yeager's maneuver demonstrated that instinct, training, and audacity combined could overcome even the most lethal threats. It was not luck. It was human brilliance under pressure. But this story is not only about a single maneuver. It is about the broader context of air combat in 1943. American pilots faced enormous challenges, limited experience, unfamiliar skies, and an enemy with decades of aerial warfare knowledge. The Luftwaffe's ace pilots had perfected their tactics, exploiting the rigid formations of Allied fighters. Losses were high. Morale wavered. And in this environment, each young pilot's survival was a testament to courage and quick thinking. Yeager's first mission was just the beginning. Over the next weeks, months, and years, he would fly countless sorties, refine his skills, and participate in battles that tested every limit of man and machine. Each engagement highlighted the importance of adaptability, the need to innovate under pressure, and the power of individual initiative. The lessons learned by one young pilot rippled through the entire Air Force, influencing tactics and training programs. The idea that a single pilot could influence the outcome of air battles was no longer theoretical lied, was proven in combat. The human element in Yeager's story is as compelling as the tactical. Imagine the fear in the cockpit, the deafening roar of engines, the flashes of enemy fire. Imagine the split-second decisions, the instinctual calculations, the courage required to pull impossible maneuvers under mortal threat. These are the moments that define heroes. Moments that are rarely captured in history books, but resonate through every story told about courage, survival, and brilliance in the air. Historians have since analyzed Yeager's first mission and its profound implications. The rigid doctrines of 1943 could no longer suffice. Pilots needed freedom to innovate. Commanders needed to recognize individual talent. And aircraft, no matter how advanced, could only fulfill their potential in the hands of skilled and audacious pilots. Yeager's experience became a cornerstone for modern fighter tactics. Maneuvers once considered reckless or impossible became standard in training and combat manuals. One young pilot's survival had reshaped an entire doctrine, yet the story is also deeply human. Yeager remained humble despite his achievements. He often credited instinct and luck alongside skill. He remembered the fear, the pressure, and the exhilaration. He acknowledged the contributions of every pilot who fought, lived, and died in those skies. The lessons of courage, resilience, and ingenuity extend far beyond the cockpit. They are applicable in every moment where stakes are high and decisions must be made under pressure. As we reflect on these events, we'll see how one moment can echo across decades. Yeager's first mission was more than a single sortie. It was a turning point. It proved that innovation can emerge from necessity, that courage can redefine strategy, and that a single individual, when pushed to the limits, can change history. It was a revelation of human potential, a demonstration of skill and bravery that reshaped the way wars were fought in the sky. In the broader context of World War II, these lessons were invaluable. The United States faced enormous pressure to achieve air superiority, reduce losses, and defeat a well-trained, experienced enemy. The bravery and ingenuity of young pilots like Yeager were critical in achieving these goals. Their experiences, captured in stories like this, provide insight into the realities of war, the fear, the adrenaline, the constant negotiation between risk and survival through Yeager's story. We also gain a deeper appreciation of the evolution of aerial combat. Aircraft design, pilot training, and combat tactics evolved rapidly during the war. But it was human instinct, courage, and ingenuity that transformed potential into action. One young pilot, on his first mission, demonstrated that doctrine alone is never enough. History is shaped by those who act decisively, creatively, and bravely under pressure. The legacy of that first mission continues to resonate today. Modern fighter pilots study Yeager's maneuvers, military historians analyze his tactics. And every retelling inspires new generations to appreciate the courage, skill, and innovation that defined aerial combat in World War II. It is a reminder that history is not only made in boardrooms and command posts, but in the cockpit, at the mercy of speed, altitude, and enemy fire, where one split-second decision can change everything. As we conclude this story, remember the lessons it imparts: courage under fire, thinking beyond established rules, and the power of human ingenuity. Chuck Yeager's first combat mission was more than survival. It was a moment that transformed air warfare forever. And as you reflect on the skies over Europe in 1943, Remember the young pilot who, with fear, determination, and instinct, dared to do the impossible and left a mark on history that will never be forgotten.